going to talk about the prostate, screening the prostate. I hope through this conversation you can actually get to also tap in the prostate cancer and how to actually manage it. So as usual, this is a channel that provides solutions to you people in terms of your health, in terms also preventing chronic conditions and just leading a healthy life in general. Okay, so thank you so much for coming here. I am excited to see Dr. 𝗦𝗣𝗘𝗖𝗜𝗙𝗜𝗍 is in the building and she has just joined our doctor's panel. Amazing. 𝗦𝗣𝗘𝗖𝗍, welcome on board. It only gets interesting in this platform. I appreciate you. If you've never visited my YouTube channel, simply go on Health and Wellness Spot on YouTube and do the dude or the doable. Go and subscribe on that channel. You need it. It will help you and it will change your life for the better. And if you've noticed, this year we decided, you know what, we are going back to the drawing board. There is a board that is coming in. We will explain these basics in a language that you can actually understand. If any case, the basics that we did about cancer, those of you who did not understand the initial phases of cancer, we will do them on the board. We will show you the growths. We will show you the types of cancers and how they spread through that board. And you will be amused. So I'll do that in the course of this week, possibly on Thursday or on Wednesday or on Thursday. You will get that video about that and you can actually get to appreciate the basics about cancer. We also have a lot of videos aligned or lined up to be shot on the board, to be explained in clear images and all that. We're also working on the lighting system so that it can actually become perfect and you can get your health goals on the run. So welcome on board. As you join in, kindly tell us where you're watching us from. This is Dr. 𝗦𝗣𝗘𝗖𝗓𝗏𝗍𝒑𝗍𝒐𝒍𝒑 Obunde from the Health and Wellness Spot, your favorite doctor. And it's time for us to just jump into this. So as you join in, tell us where you're watching us from so that I can actually shout out to people in your area zone and we can actually tag them in. And also the best thing you can do for us is as you join in, like the live. You can share it if you so please, but like the live so that you can actually get to reach to many people who can actually get the free information the same way you're getting the free information. Thank you. I can see Fiona from where? Fiona from Uganda. Ugambachi. Charge. I see Paul presenting South Africa. Welcome on board. Here in Sotik, this is biomedical engineer. Welcome on board, biomedical engineer. I see somebody from Bahrain. This is Buluru Mugwani. Amazing. Chauro Bondo Siaya. People from Bondo, we welcome you on board. Masha, I see you watching from Finland. Welcome. Koi from South Africa. This Koi or Koli? Koli. We've seen that is it 𝗦𝗣𝗘𝗖𝗙𝗑𝗡 tribe? Hey. People from Zimbabwe, tell us more about the 𝗦𝗣𝗘𝗑𝗡 tribe. Those guys are interesting, right? I saw them trying to open up a bottle of soda. They have never seen soda. It was the first time they were opening up a soda and using teeth. I'm like, this is what we want. This is where we need to go back to. How did we come out knowing how to open soda? Yet our roots, they don't even know what soda is. So we will not allow these people to actually mess us up. Learn together from Uganda. Welcome on board. South Africa. Nelspruit. Who is this? This is Timothy. Kisumu Pacho. Kisumu City United. Kisumu is in the building. Shania. Somebody from Kericho. Asuito. I also see Eutychus. Eutychus, how are you, brother? How is the United Kingdom? I see you. Yande is also from UK. I see Njoroge from Banana. Near your former Kirigiti Stadium. Amazing. Kirigiti is where we belong. Bro, I was a dangerous footballer. If I wasn't doing what I'm doing right now, guy, I'll be somewhere there shouting in the fields and a serious tackler. Those who studied with me know I was a serious super footballer. I miss those times though. Nowadays we just go pump the gym. We are here fasting. We can't play football anymore. Aye. Hey doctor, Happy New Year from UK. This is, I believe, Happy New Year, I believe. Mr. Thinker, I saw that video too. Amazing. They were struggling to open that soda. I can tell you, bro. It was amazing. On YouTube, as usual, my people are coming in. I see 𝗦𝗣𝗘𝗖𝗓𝗏𝗍𝗑𝗑𝗡, thank you so much for joining in. Javan from Luanda, welcome on board. Eunice Mudhoni, I see you. I see Queen Nelly. Happiness Adams, Joab Oboge. Where is Kevin? Hey, somebody's called, where is Kevin? Kevin, you need to join in on Friday. Where is Kevin? Nowadays, everybody's being abducted for no good reason. So we can't really know where Kevin is. So welcome on board, Kevin. We are happy that we don't know where you are, but at least you're here. Karibu sana. Kumbe wakiabduct watu, they give you the internet. Karibu, brother. I see Jen Muendo. Welcome on board. Agustino Dindo. I see you, bro. Happiness Adams, we are back. It's a new year. Zolisa Mateja, I see you. Wilsheru, Happy New Year. Priki, I see you. I see Happiness Adams also. I see, who else is here? I see Kekeli Kafui Dorcas, I see you. I see Jay Opande, welcome on board. I see Chito Sakala. Osolo Media, watching from Nairobi. Nzembi the Queen, I see you. Enoch Keter, Mutothia Dhiaka. Amazing. Zion, I see you from Cameroon. Eunice Ongoi, I see you from Juja. Lydia Nyamisa from Kisindani. Matoke Ipo. Keumbu is in the building. At least I stayed in Keumbu during the post-election violence. I was held up in Keumbu. I ate a lot of sugarcane. My brothers, that place. Sugarcane and bananas. Keumbu people. Much respects. Safi, I see you. Karibu sana Safi. I see who else? Steve Lagos in the building from Kajiado. Pixel Craze, I see you. Daniel Njero from 𝗣𝗥𝗢𝗦𝗧𝗔𝗘, I see you. Thika is also my place. I lived in Thika for the longest period of time. It was just amazing. Evans Shoro from CI. Amazing. Welcome on board. Sam from Naivasha in the building. Karibu sana Sam. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are going to screen the prostate. We are going to show you that there's a difference between the prostate cancer and an enlarged prostate. We are going to tell you that PSA that you normally tell us, oh, you know, PSA yangu iko juu and I might end up in trouble. We are going to show you that PSA is not a problem in prostate cancer. That just because you have an enlarged prostate, it doesn't mean it will turn to prostate cancer. And just because you have a higher PSA levels, PSA, for those of you who don't know, it is prostate-specific antigen. So this one is going to get interesting. I'm telling you. We are going to see if ejaculating 21 times in a month is actually one of the things that can actually prevent you from getting prostate cancer. Is it true or is it false? Have you heard that? That, you know what? For you to prevent yourself from enlarging your prostate or prostate cancer, you must ejaculate 21 times in a month. So the only time that you're not having sex and ejaculating is when your woman is in her menstrual cycle, her menstrual period, attending the cycle. Or, what do we say? Ameenda kwa mwezi. She has visited the moon. Okay? So, do you need to take a break? Is there a relationship between you not having sex and getting prostate cancer? Albert from Thika. Ruth from Embakasi. Holistic Health and Eye Care. James Buore. Daktari, karibu sana. Happy New Year to you, bro. From Kisumu City. Shem from Narok. I see all of you. Ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Lewy is here. Now, I have two platforms running right now. I have Health and Wellness Spot on TikTok, and I have Health and Wellness Spot on YouTube. So allow me to make this announcement. We will be doing lives that are health related and content to do health on these platforms, the Health and Wellness Spot, both on TikTok and on YouTube. On Wednesday, we prefer now not to do the lives. We think it's only fair that we shoot the videos for the board so that you get them on Thursdays. Okay? So possibly you can get that on Thursday. Also, on Thursday, we can shoot other videos that you can get the following week. So we are going to make sure we put in the work, but you will allow us to avoid these lives that happen on Wednesdays. We will push them only on Mondays. So only Mondays we will be doing lives that are concerning health on these two platforms, Health and Wellness Spot. On Friday, of course, our Identity Fridays, where we fix the souls, we fix the spirit. We make sure that you're not depressed, you're not believing anything. We make sure that you're dropping all those false identities and adapting only you. That is happening on Fridays. And on Fridays is Identity Fridays. And I prefer Identity Fridays to run on a different platform on YouTube. And that platform will be Dr. Lewis Muchile. So if you go on YouTube, there's a platform that is called Dr. Lewis Muchile. There's a YouTube channel actually that is called Dr. Lewis Muchile. It was previously known as HAWS, H-A-W-S with Dr. Lewis. But I'll send the link when I'll be advertising for the shows on Friday. So I want you to know that on Fridays, our shows will move from Health and Wellness Spot because we don't want to mix health with the spiritual aspect of life. So we will move the lives on Fridays, specifically on YouTube, to the other channel that is called Dr. Lewis Muchile. So I hope on Friday you don't come in to Health and Wellness Spot hoping that we'll be there. But of course, when you just log in and type Dr. Lewis, you will see I'll be live on Friday. So Friday at 8:30 all the way. You know how we do it? Identity Fridays. So I thought that should be known. And then we have our physical consultations coming up at the end of this month in Nairobi. The last week of this month and the first week of February, we will be in Nairobi, back to serve you from your doorstep in Nairobi, in the center of business. So therefore, start booking your appointments as early as this, so that you can actually be scheduled earlier and you don't have the commotion that we normally do have. So the number for those consultations is 0707 0747 22. If you are in Kenya, you can use 07. If you are outside Kenya, you can actually use +254. So I'm pinning that there on YouTube so that you can actually use that. You can use the same contact to book for your online consultations that happen every evening. Mickey has pinned it on TikTok. Every evening we have the online consultations that happen before we do these lives and before we do even the shootings. So we do them to you, an hour each, and it's enough for you. You learn a lot from it, and it's just amazing. So use the same contact. Again, from 15th of this January, we understand what happened in December. We understand that you had to say, oh, you know what, Dr. Lewis, with your stay away from wheat, it is enough. Please allow us to eat just wheat just for these 2 weeks, and we will come back to you in January. I said, okay, I oblige. I'm not even doing lives to threaten you anymore. I'm going to sit back and relax and wait until you eat your wheat and then you come back. So therefore, we got you covered. So we said from 15th of January, we're going to make sure that you're going to have a 3 months weight loss and fixing gut program. 3 months. So from 15th of January all the way to March. And after there, you'll graduate into our support group. So most of you who actually go through that process end up getting into a support group to continue achieving your goals there. So therefore, you can actually use the same contacts to book for your space in that weight loss program that is going to happen from January. So we are back, and it's just going to be bigger and better. Thank you so much for staying put. As we start this conversation about the prostate, I want you to know this. The prostate is like a tube. It's like a gland that surrounds the urethra. So understand this. We have the kidneys, and the kidneys have tubes that are called ureters. They are bringing in all the contents of the kidneys into the bladder. And then the bladder is getting the exit through a tube that is called the urethra. Do not struggle to cram all these things, because again, I'll do a very good video on the board to explain this. So we have the kidneys, the ureters, the bladder, and then the urethra out through the penis and into the external environment. Now, where the urethra joins the bladder, that's where the prostate is. So the urethra is like it's running through the prostate gland like this. What does that mean? It means if your prostate is enlarging, there's a chance it will press against the urethra and you start having problems with urinating. People who have enlarged prostate will tell you the first symptom they start to experience is recurrent infections and then difficulty in passing urine. Sometimes they go to the loo, they urinate a very small amount of urine. When they come out, they still have that urge to urinate. So it's constantly there. They want to urinate all the time. They think they've emptied it. When they just come out, they feel like, you know what? I don't feel like I've emptied the entire bowel. I've not emptied the bladder completely. And this is one of the reasons why they are given muscle relaxants. There are drugs that they are given to actually help them relax the urethra and relax the bladder so that urine comes out easily. Now, when you take drugs to actually help you open up the urethra so that urine flows out easily, you have not fixed the problem, because the problem is an enlarged prostate. And that problem is coming from two things. One is hormone that is called DHT. We will talk about it. Dihydrotestosterone. Number two is insulin. Insulin. And then we can add their hormone number three, which is estrogen. Somebody is saying, Unahang, is it me or your internet? I think it's your internet. So anyway, so we have this. We have the two hormones, which is dihydrotestosterone, and then we have another hormone that is called insulin. This hormone is a very crazy hormone. And actually, the one that is actually responsible for an enlarged prostate is called insulin-like growth factor. Insulin-like growth factor. But I want you to just shed off the names, because we are here to understand so that we actually know how to prevent. Okay? So, let's go back a little bit. So that's an enlarged prostate. Two hormones plus one is estrogen. Why estrogen? Because estrogen is a building hormone. Estrogen builds fat in women. That's why it gives you the hips, gives you the buttocks, gives you all this fat deposition. And in the uterus, estrogen can actually build the fibroids, can build the PCOS, the adenocarcinomas, and all that. So estrogen is very dangerous, even to the men. In the prostate, estrogen builds the prostate gland together with the insulin hormone. So they build the prostate and that becomes a bigger one. Now, I hope you remember when we were talking about the growths, we talked about specific growths. We talked about the hypertrophy, which means an enlarged, same cells just be enlarging. We talked about hyperplasia, where we multiply cells but of the same type. We talked about metaplasia, where we have cells from one type changing form into another type. And then we talked about dysplasia, where they lose function totally. And then we talked about neoplasia. Do not bother cramming that, because I'll make sure that you get it through the board again. So, neoplasia is the cancers, but hypertrophy is the benign prostate enlargement. So understand that having an enlarged prostate does not mean you have cancer. This should get into your heads. Now, most people think because they have been diagnosed with high PSA and they have an enlarged prostate, it's automatic that they'll end up getting prostate cancer. It's a lie. An enlarged prostate is hypertrophy or hyperplasia. It is not prostate cancer. They are different. This was just an enlarged prostate. The cells of the prostate building up to make it bigger. But prostate cancer, this is a type of cancer. It's actually metastatic. It spreads. Remember we said there are those that are benign, those are the tumors, and there are those that spreads, we call it metastasis. So the prostate cancer spreads. But prostate cancer is one of the cancers that actually spreads through the lymphatic system. So remember we said some cancers spread through blood or the connective tissue. We call them sarcomas. Some cancers spread through the lymph system, and we call them what? Carcinomas. So the prostate is part of the cancers that actually spread through the lymph nodes and the lymphatic system. So is the lung cancer, so is the colon cancer, so is the pancreatic cancer, and we've talked about all those. So I want you to know this. Before I even jump into this prostate, I want you to understand something, because there's a drug that people who have an enlarged prostate are given. It's called finasteride. And when you just know the drugs that you're taking, and I hope people who actually have an enlarged prostate can actually tell us their story about this medication. If you know very well your medication, it shall be easier for you to actually know the mode of action, but most of you don't even take some chance to just see how these drugs work. When you just Google the mode of action of finasteride, you will actually go back and see where the cancer is coming from, because the mode of action will tell you what we are trying to either block or activate. So this drug called finasteride is one of the drugs that is used in enlarged prostate. And the reason why it's used in enlarged prostate is because it blocks one of the enzymes that actually activates the process of breakdown of testosterone into dihydrotestosterone. Dihydrotestosterone is the active metabolite of testosterone. Put a pause there. Go back a little bit. We have testosterone. Testosterone is produced by your testicles. And then this testosterone has several functions. Or rather, let's talk about the fats of testosterone. So when you have produced testosterone, where does it go to? Or why do we need it? We need it because of multiple things. But the fats of testosterone are 4. And I showed you this in the diagram that I actually did today. So you produce testosterone from your testicles. And remember, testosterone is coming from cholesterol. It's a sex hormone coming from steroids. So you must consume a lot of foods that are rich in cholesterol for you to get enough testosterone. Now you produce testosterone, and now this testosterone comes in, and number one role is to actually give you the secondary male characteristics. This is the broad shoulders. So therefore, people who have very narrow shoulders and they are men, low testosterone levels. This is the deep voice. I'm not saying Wakamba wakona low testosterone. I'm not saying my fellows from Kisii have low testosterone. However, testosterone is the hormone that is responsible for the deep voice. Hello? Wacha tukunywe maji. Tutaanza kupigwa vita na Wakamba na Wakisii. Anyway. So, secondary characteristics, broad shoulders, deep voice, this ability to go out and actually conquer. So the dominance factor of us, the muscle growth, the bone density, all that is testosterone. Even hair distribution on the chest and all those areas, the pubic hair. That is testosterone. So that is fate number one. So we produced it to actually help us grow into being men. That is one. And that is what we need it for. Okay? Somebody saying, unaanza kuguza kindiki. Yeah. Bro, I don't want to be abducted. No solo. Please. I don't want to be abducted. So let's... Yeah? Mmesema nimeguza nani? Yeah. So anyway, so now that's fate number one. Fate number two, this testosterone has to bind on a protein and then it has to be stored like a reservoir. So there's a protein in blood that is actually called the sex hormone binding globulin. Sex hormone binding globulin, understand this, that proteins in blood are supposed to bind things and then move them around. So when it's bound to the protein, it can actually be transported. However, anything that is bound to a protein, it is not available for action, it is not available for activity, it is also not available for metabolism, so it cannot be broken down. Metabolism is a negative feedback. For example, you are producing testosterone and the body knows excess of this testosterone will bring problems. So we need to break it down into inactive compounds to get it out of the system through urine. However, some of this testosterone is bound to protein. Therefore, we cannot break it down, right? We cannot metabolize it. So therefore, this acts as a reservoir to maintain these testosterone levels in the system. So that if the level of testosterone falls, we can easily release this testosterone from the bound protein and now we have it for activity. Because the unbound testosterone is the one that is available for action. The bound one is not available for action or for metabolism. Tumeshika mpaka hapo. So we have produced testosterone, we have used it for secondary male characteristics, we have bound it to protein for a reservoir for storage, and then only 2%, about 2 to 3% of testosterone, the total testosterone that we produce, is actually used for the secondary characteristics, for the fertility, for the masculinity, for the muscle growth, for the bone density, for the dominance, for the beard, for hair distribution. Only 2% is used for that function. Now that tells you how much of testosterone is free. There's a lot of testosterone that becomes free. And worst, for those people who use supplements, the steroid supplements, the testosterone boosts or shots to actually boost their muscle growth, they are loading the system with a lot of testosterone. Understand this. We have bound one, we have used the other, but the one that we've used is only 2%. Therefore, the remaining amount of testosterone is carried all the way to the liver now for metabolism, for the breakdown. Metabolism just means breaking it down. Now remember, metabolism is supposed to yield two things. Metabolism is supposed to yield either active compounds to be used by the system or inactive compounds to be excreted out of the system through urine, through feces, through sweat and all that, even breath. However, metabolism of testosterone, the larger percentage, about 85%, yields an active compound that is called DHT, dihydrotestosterone. Remember, it's active. You should remember that because that's the most important part. So DHT is active metabolite of testosterone. Now that it's active, what is it going to do to the body? Because it has to bind to receptors and do something in the body, because when it's still active, it cannot be excreted through urine. It cannot leave the body. It's there, it's now active. So the body has to put it to use. At that level, I want you to understand, where we are converting testosterone into dihydrotestosterone in the liver, the enzyme that is actually involved in this process is called 5-alpha reductase. Hello? 5-alpha reductase. Hey, tumeanza kuingia science sasa. Now you become a real doctor. Yeah? You become a male gyna. Mimi ni gyna wa wanaume. By the way, do men ever visit gynas? Men, do you ever go to the gyna? Yeah? Mnaendanga kwa gyna? Imagine a conversation with a man telling you, you know what, I'm just from the gyna and I've just checked my organs there. Yeah, I'm just from the gyna. Or next week I have an appointment with the gyna. My gyna is going to hiyo tuliachia nani? Mmachia mama ama nini? What is happening? Anyway, let's proceed. So the conversion of testosterone to DHT, which is the active metabolite, happens under the watch or the activation of an enzyme called 5-alpha reductase. Anytime you see a word that ends with ASE, lipase, protease, ASE, that is an enzyme. So therefore, this enzyme breaks testosterone into dihydrotestosterone, which is an active metabolite. Now, there are two drugs, but before those drugs, let me just finish it up. So when you have now DHT, it is an active metabolite, it's dangerous. This is the protein or the testosterone metabolite that is very dangerous in prostate cancer, in an enlarged prostate. So this protein, this active metabolite binds to cells and activates the enlargement of the prostate. Oh, now you get it right. So we get testosterone, which is a good one, but now it's broken down to an active metabolite, which is now dangerous to the prostate. So it causes an enlarged prostate. Also, there is this category of men who have a very good beard, but with a bald head. Hello? I have not mentioned Ngonga. So there's a video I shot and I told you, a lot of men who have a bald head are suffering from erectile dysfunction, and asked you, do you believe this is true? People said, no way, Ngonga, you just gave one example. Now ladies who are actually dating men who have a bald head, tell us something. Yeah, am I right? My people on TikTok, there was this gentleman, and this has to come in Identity Fridays also. This gentleman who, you remember, Doc, do you guys remember this lady and this gentleman who is a doc apparently? I think it's in Nakuru or somewhere. So this guy was coming in. Hey, they made ladies have sleepless nights. This lady comes with meals and takes the meals to the guy at hospital. Hii ni lunch ya doc. Do you remember that guy? What happened? Rumors on my desk are saying the last time I saw is the lady was just saying, you know what, mimi niko na nyota ya wazungu. Africans tawe. Mimi nyota yangu is for the 𝗦𝗤𝗙𝗓𝗏. My stars are for 𝗦𝗤𝗙𝗓𝗏. Africans, please leave me alone. So like, yeah. I thought this was the best couple. What happened to the couple of the year? So Doc had a very good bald head. We don't want to go into the details of that. However, so men who have a bald head with a very beautiful beard, tumewafikia. So this DHT, one, enlarges the prostate. Number two, can actually lead you to prostate cancer. And number three, gives you the bald head plus a very nice beard. So imagine now, I think the hair comes from here to here. I don't Hey, tawe. Anyway, Dr. Levy's comedy show. So let's continue. So now you have those two things. That is fate number 3 for testosterone. So remember, as we make the jokes, just make sure that you get the point. Always target the point, because that's the most important part of this conversation. So one fate, we've said we have taken testosterone to be used for secondary male characteristic. 2, we've said it's bound to sex hormone, the globin. Okay? Sex hormone binding globin. Number 3, you said we metabolize it. Thank you so much, Mr. Spanish, for actually reminding these guys. It is easier for you to actually tap the screen. Why? Because when you like the live, it makes it easier for you to get to more people. Let's laugh together. Make other people come in. Sindio? Yeah, share the live, just like the live. That's the only thing I request from you. Okay? You can't be mean. Just sit there watching and enjoying the content for free, but you don't even like. Liking will make sure that we get to reach more people. Thank you. Anyway, so 1, secondary characteristics. 2, it goes to produce, to be bound to the protein so that it's actually transported and stored. 3, we break it down to dihydrotestosterone. We get our bald head and our beard. We get our enlarged prostate. We get our cancer there. Number 3, testosterone can actually be converted, it actually is converted to estrogen. We call it estradiol. Now remember, estrogen is a feminine hormone. and it comes from testosterone. Metabolism of testosterone can either give you DHT or can give you estrogen, estradiol. Now, you see that process of converting testosterone to estrogen is actually activated by multiple factors. One, obesity. So men, as you grow fat, because fat is highly estrogenic, you are actually activating the conversion of testosterone into estrogen. You're becoming more of a woman. That's why most fat men are very emotional. They argue with women. They get upset over small things. They get depressed. They have hips. They have man boobs. Because as you grow fat, you activate the enzyme that converts testosterone into estrogen. That enzyme is called aromatase. So now you know two enzymes. One is 5-alpha reductase. The other one is aromatase. So 5-alpha reductase takes you to testosterone. The other one, the aromatase, takes you to estrogen. So imagine if you're converting even the smallest amount of testosterone that you have into estrogen, you're becoming more of a woman. You're raising estrogen levels, the estrogen will cause an enlarged prostate. Do you see that? Because we said estrogen is a building hormone. I hope I'm making this easier to understand. I hope I am actually making this easier for you as now my medical student to understand this. So now when you're obese, you're converting testosterone to estrogen because you're activating the enzyme that is called aromatase. Number two, when you have a fatty liver, so this is for the thin guys. Oh, you know I'm thin, I can eat everything. I can eat bread plus the pepper. These thin guys have a fatty liver. So they are thin from outside but very fat from inside. The more you get fat from inside, the fatty liver, the more you convert testosterone into estrogen. You become more of a woman, more emotional, very weak bones, very feminine. Number three, smoking and alcohol. Alcohol, specifically beer. Beer has phytoestrogens. So they are boosting estrogen levels at the same time they're actually making you fat because alcohol makes you have a fatty liver and a pot belly. So you're actually converting yourself from a man to a woman. That's why when people have drunk alcohol, when it gets to 3 a.m. in the morning, that time they are doing this. That's the time they are more depressed. That's the time they feel very feminine. They feel very weak. They just want to share their secrets. They feel emotional. They want hugs and all that. It becomes chaotic. So you can imagine a man at that moment in time. This guy is so lonely. This guy wants just to sleep. He's so demotivated. Because now his estrogen levels are going up. So as you drink that alcohol, and I know you've drunk a lot of alcohol during the Christmas festives. Oh, is it not time for us to wash it out from the system? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm on day 4 of an active fast right now. You can easily feel the energy. Day 4. You can easily feel the energy. So stop telling us that if you fast, you will die. You need to fast to burn the fat. You need to fast to burn the estrogen. So as you get this weak and all that and emotional, and now you want people to hug you and you're just turning yourself from being a man to a woman. And now, of course, people who drink alcohol are the ones who have man boobs. And I told you a story where this guy was putting a child on the chest to make the child sleep. Kidogo, child is suckling the breast. He's like, hey. I'm like, hey, bro, what is happening? Mtoto ameniuma. Ameuma nini? The guy doesn't want to say ameuma nipple. Mtoto ameniuma. Bro. Let's be serious, brother. Let's just drop the bottle. Just walk out of the bar and go lift the bar. It's easier. Use that money to buy the bar. Like the bar in terms of lifting. It's a lot of chaos with a drunk man. The people become so violent. I had friends when you lazima ungeshika sijui nini. This guy has just become emotional. This guy was staring at my girl. This guy is so throwing bottles all over. I'm like, bro, what is happening? So alcoholism is a serious problem in conversion of testosterone into estrogen. Now, when you have converted testosterone into estrogen, now you have a lot of estrogen in the system. What do you expect? Of course, low testosterone. Number 2, man boobs. Number 3, hips and buttocks. And you've seen these guys who go to the gym with sweatpants, and then they have this dry buttock. They are there doing a deadlift, and all their buttocks are out, and they have this tie around their waist. They're like, hey bro, when will you ever ban this? Why don't you just go and change the kitchen instead of coming here to lift weights? You've seen them, right? And it's so irritating. This guy has, and then they wear these t-shirts that are so tight, and the guy has a very big pot belly, and that pot belly, that t-shirt has to gum up, and now all the buttocks are out. We are like, please, our eyes, unatulaani. You're cursing us. You know where I come from? If you see a man's buttocks, that is a curse. This guy is standing in front of you now. We have to just say, yeah, with a gym belt. Now the guy with a small t-shirt, the belly is out, and the guy is already putting a belt on top. Now the guy is busy doing some we're like, which one is this? Which exercise is this? Hii ni gani? Hapana. So they should be open a gym huko kwao. Wafanyie gym nyumbani bas. We don't want to see those things. That's a curse. Oh man. So then, of course, erectile dysfunction is coming in. And I'm that guy who looks at people who have a pot belly, and of course I'm thinking, hey. So we should sugarcoat this. We can't. No way. So erectile dysfunction is coming in. Don't forget the baldness, because here we are forming estrogen, which causes hair loss, even in women. High estrogen levels. You see women who are getting into menopause, their hairline starts to reside, right? Because of estrogen. So now this guy has both dihydrotestosterone, which is actually causing baldness, and then has high estrogen, which is actually causing what? Residing hairline. So what do you expect from this guy? Anytime you put on, napenda kuvaa kofia. Anytime you put on that cape, you get rid of that cape and you find hair in the cape. You're like, am I okay? My hair. Okay, and then we have an increase in PSA, the prostate specific antigen. And then we have now the shrinking testicles and the penis. So they have the micro penis. Of course, what do you expect with the pot belly and all this estrogen in the system? You start having a shrinking penis. Now you start looking at men with boobs like yours, and you're like, you're admiring men with boobs like yours. And that's how we ended up having all these umbrella issues all over. Because this guy is so emotional. Hey. Anyway, so that is the channel under which testosterone is actually broken down. If you understand that channel, my friends, you understand prostate enlargement, you understand prostate cancer. Hello? Tuko pamoja? Kama hujaelewa mpaka hapo, hii live si yako. You need to scroll. You need to move to the next live. But if you've not understood up to there, the metabolism of testosterone, tawe. So simply know we have 4 channels. 1 is binding, 2 is secondary characteristics, 3 is DHT, and 4 is estrogen. So what we need to maintain here is the free testosterone that is used for secondary characteristics, and the one that is actually bound on the protein, so that we can actually use it. And even if we take some of it to the liver for metabolism, we get very less DHT that can actually be cleared out of the system so fast. Thank you very much for understanding that. Then a question comes in, Daktari, what is this PSA that I've done? And by the way, whatever you don't know will never hurt you. So men, stop going to do a PSA test every time just to check how your prostate is doing. Understand that PSA is not a measure of any health unless you have been diagnosed with a prostate cancer, or you're on medication, or you're on radiation therapy, or you did a surgery. So now you have to confirm the levels of PSA in the system to understand how you're faring. But if you've not been diagnosed with this, please stop doing PSA test every time. It is not necessary. Because again, it's not important. It is not. That's why I told you, you'd rather do a HbA1c and a CRP test to just see how inflamed your system is and how sugars are in your system, instead of thinking about a PSA and then you start wondering, start getting the fear. Because again, 85% of the tests for prostate-specific antigen are false positives. 85% false positives. So you go and do a PSA test there because you have an infection or an inflamed prostate. You get the PSAs in the roof and they tell you, oh, you know what? This one, we need a biopsy. Now your head is thinking, biopsy. The fear is setting in. A lot of money is supposed to be involved for you to do a biopsy. You go do a biopsy, and now they're telling you, oh, you know what? It was a misdiagnosis, and you've spent money already. You've sold that land. So some of these tests are not necessary as such. If it is necessary, we will tell you. We will tell you. So now I want you to know this on that channel where we were converting testosterone to dihydrotestosterone. That is where medications for an enlarged prostate are actually acting. So you see the conversion of testosterone to DHT, that enzyme. Do you remember that enzyme? Let me see those who remember that enzyme. Before we proceed, which enzyme converts testosterone to dihydrotestosterone, the active metabolite? Let's see wale machopi wamekaa front bench. Wale ambao wasikii kama rumors. You know, sometimes you sit at the back bench and you're just hearing other people saying, amesema, he has said, the teacher said, the lecturer said. You're like, oh, he said that. So how many of you are sitting in the front bench? Which enzyme is responsible for conversion of testosterone to dihydrotestosterone? There are sharp people here already. I like this. And I wasn't here. Those who will say, we were not taught. We were not taught. You had to kufunzwa. And you've seen those guys who come to the exam room with a new handout you've never seen. You're like, I'm supposed to 22 pages of a handout. Now I need to cram this again. Medical school is a scam. This guy comes with new the lecturer sent this on on the class email. At that moment I'm like, there is a class email. A class email. Who made that? Hey. That has a beef. This one, the one who made this class email, just wanted us to suffer. Who made an email? It's just now when I'm realizing there's a class email. And after seeing a new handout of 22 pages, and it seems to have all the information that I've been looking for. Pungulu. We look for 50% only. Pungulu. Good. That is the enzyme. It is 5-alpha. Somebody is saying 5-sulfur. At 5-sulfur. Anyway, 5-alpha reductase. So now, those drugs that block 5-alpha reductase are the drugs that will cause a shrinking prostate. One of them is called finasteride. Finasteride. Oh, finasteride. I wish I can find, let me just find the trade names so that you can actually appreciate it. The trade names for finasteride. Because there are people who have them, they are using them, but they don't know. You know, when I say finasteride, that's a generic name. Most people will not know that. Most people will know, like if I say glucophage or glucomet, people will know, instead of me saying metformin. Good. It is called Proscar. Proscar. Proscar or Propecia. Those are the trade names for finasteride. Proscar. So it's a Proscar, is before the scar. So these drugs, the finasteride, there's another one. Clomid, somebody's talking about Clomid. We will get to that. There's another one that's actually called diethylstilbestrol. This is an estrogen form. Diethylstilbestrol. But finasteride, which is the Proscar, is the most common one. So what they do is they block this enzyme. When you block that 5-alpha reductase, you cannot convert testosterone into DHT. But remember, you already had DHT. So now you rely on the liver to actually break it down to ease it out of the system. But if you have a fatty liver, if you're obese, if you have a pot belly, you are already compromised. So you will either way need to lose the weight anyway. So it will take you some time to get to your goals. You see now where a holistic approach of healthcare becomes very important? Yes. So the drugs, the diethylstilbestrol and finasteride, they block the 5-alpha reductase. When they block that enzyme, now you cannot convert testosterone into DHT, and now you start having this prostate shrinking. That's why they are indicated in BPH, the enlarged prostate. Amazing. So we keep moving, right? So now, PSA, which is a prostate-specific antigen. Now remember, antigen is anything that will cause the body to produce antibodies or immune cells. So when you have something new into your system, the body does not recognize it. It has to produce new army against that. That which is produced is the antibody, the army. The one that causes the production of this army is the antigen. So PSA is an antigen that is specific to the prostate. What does that statement tell you? That if you don't have a prostate, you will not produce PSA. So if you have your prostate removed, or we expect PSA in women to be 0, right? Because they don't have a prostate. So if you have the prostate, you start having production of PSA. And PSA is actually an antigen, or basically a protein that is produced by the prostate, and it lives in the prostate. And its major role, because it's produced for a reason, its major role is to actually liquefy the sperm and the semen. So it reduces the viscosity. It makes it more liquid so that it moves from the urethra or from the testicles into the vas deferens, into the out through the urethra. So if we have a high or a thick semen, infertility is actually looming, because how will they swim through the vaginal canal? So therefore, the function of this PSA is to make sure that the viscosity of the semen and the sperm is optimum, so that the sperm can actually swim faster and into the vaginal canal, and therefore fertility is up. Therefore, that tells you that PSA has a physiological significance of increasing fertility and helping in liquefying of the semen and the sperm. So it's very important. So then, as long as it's staying inside the prostate, no problem. Now remember, the prostate is a gland. Now, anything that alters the integrity of the barrier of the prostate and causes leaking of this PSA from the prostate into the bloodstream can cause an increase in PSA. But let's take it back a little bit. Remember this, that PSA is supposed to stay in the prostate, right? And there it has that function of liquefying the sperm and increasing viscosity, and therefore increasing fertility. But clinically, or why do we need it in terms of the lab results? Maintaining a PSA that is normal. Actually, the lab results for the PSA can actually help you to predict if therapy for the enlarged prostate is actually working, if therapy for prostate cancer is actually working, if the surgeon or the urologist did a very good job in removing that prostate that was actually suffering, and it's a guide to treatment. So it does all these clinical tests that you're doing. You see, all of them are not to predict that you have a problem with the prostate. They are to predict that you actually have a solution in terms of the therapy. So when you go and take a PSA test to just see if you have a problem with the prostate, you're wasting time. Because the clinical significance of PSA, 1, which is the least function, is to predict if you have an enlarged prostate, a prostate problem. But that's the extremes. Number 2 is for follow-up for treatment, for follow-up for surgery, for follow-up for radiation therapy, and all those. So it's actually coming in secondary to show you that actually unakubali therapy. Your system is accepting and agreeing to the therapy that you are going through, including the surgery. However, if you alter the integrity of the prostate, even a small alteration, you will cause leaking of the PSA from the prostate into the bloodstream. When you cause that, you start increasing PSA in the blood. Now, what causes an increase in PSA? Because now you'll be wondering, now PSA is here. What causes an increase in it? Of course, an inflamed prostate. We call it prostatitis. The prostatitis, inflammation of the prostate. Infections, medicines, all these things, including radiation therapy, including partial removal of the prostate gland through surgery. These things can actually alter the integrity of the prostate and therefore cause a leakage of PSA from the prostate into the bloodstream. And remember, the normal ranges of PSA in the blood are 4. So below 4, we call it nanograms per ml. That is the normal range. It has to be below 4. Above 4, we need to actually do more review. Above 20, there is a risk. But most of you go and do a PSA test and you get a 5 or a 6 or a 7. And then now you're wondering, maybe any cancer. And of course, your urologist will refer you to biopsy, the tissue biopsy. Oh, now it's just a downfall because you start losing weight. You know, when you think about a disease, and right now you've been sold the fear of cancer, and when just somebody tells you about cancer, all your head is just thinking, am I going to die? And as you think about death, you're actually dying slowly. Unakufa pole pole. When you have prostate cancer, you will also leak PSA from the prostate gland into the bloodstream. Because cancer does not obey rules. If cancer does not obey rules, it means it will destroy the structure of the prostate. And when you destroy the structure of the prostate, you expect to leak the PSA from the prostate into the bloodstream. More problems after more problems after more problems. Wacha niwaachie hapo mrelax kidogo. We are 54 minutes into the lecture. If you're still lagging behind, problems. This is the time you ask your doctor, Daktari, why didn't you tell me about this PSA? Why did you let me do the biopsies? You ask your urologist, Daktari, what happened? Then you realize, oh, your urologist disappeared, he's in Kisumu, he's not in Nairobi anymore. Oh, you're told he went to South Africa for further studies. You're like, Allah. What about benign? Benign means it does not spread. So you see, for the enlarged prostate, we call it benign prostatic hypertrophy or hyperplasia. So it's benign, it doesn't move. For prostate cancer, it metastasizes, it spreads through the lymph. So it has to spread. Okay? But when you have localized cancers, it means they stay in the prostate. But the more you stay with it, and even other factors like age, like genetics, like lifestyle, can actually activate the conversion of the one that is actually localized into spreading. Remember this, we said this, that we have tumors. These tumors, we have benign tumors, and then we have malignant tumors. The malignant tumors are the ones that we call cancer because they spread and they kill you through the spreading. The benign ones, no problem, because we can do surgery and we remove them. We can do radiation, we suppress them. We can do chemo and we do away with them. But the one that is spreading is the problem, and that's what we're talking about when we talk about prostate cancer. However, the beauty about prostate cancer is most people who die from prostate cancer, or most people who die after the diagnosis of prostate cancer, they don't die from prostate cancer because it has a slow spread rate. As compared to other cancers, it doesn't spread that fast. So it's very slow. The progression is very slow. So these people will die of maybe old age, diabetes, hypertension, stroke, heart disease, all other issues, multiple organ failure, but not prostate cancer because it spreads so slow. So I want you to look keenly that if you're thinking maybe your father died of the prostate or prostate cancer, but they had diabetes, so he died from complication of diabetes. And just like we did to COVID, anybody who died that period of COVID, even if you died from malaria, we forwarded you to the record of COVID. Do you remember? So that there were a gentleman who is now coming for the cattle will come there and say, we have recorded 5 deaths and sell you the fear. Well, we have recorded 5 deaths and all those blah, blah, blah. Hey, we're like, hey, bro, these guys died from diabetes. These guys died from malaria. How is it then now that they are part of the COVID scheme? They're like, and now we've moved on so fast. The same guy is now coming in as the head of the livestock department. He's going to give our cows the same vaccines that they gave to us. Sometimes you just feel like shouting on the top of the mountain and breaking the commandments like Moses. Mi nashangaa sana. Politics. Wachane tunayo. Do what you have to do. Hey, fellow Kenyans, in the last 72 hours, we have recorded new 50 cases in 𝗣𝗥𝗢𝗦𝗧𝗔𝗧𝗘 County. We have recorded 5 deaths. We have recorded blah, blah, blah. And in the next 72 hours, we are going to bring in a new batch of AstraZeneca. So sell them the fear, sell them the solution. Use the media. Use the media to catch their attention, to capture their attention, make them feel emotional, make them feel the fear. Once you've done that, once you've sold them fear successfully, they will rely on us because we are the ones who make the guidelines. The ones who make the guidelines. They're the ones who actually dictate what is coming in. Now we will sell them the medicines and we'll make our billions, and we'll go back to Nyeri and sit in a corner there just eating these billions as we wait for the new opportunity to come and now vaccinate the cattle, their livestock, right? Yeah. And now there's that guy in the village who is just holding a radio here. My Luya people, on your bicycle you have just a radio there and you're listening to only one radio station every day. And this guy is there every single day advertising vaccines, advertising the disease. How can you not buy the fear? How can you not buy the fear? I'm telling you, there are guys in Western Province, if you just get the radio out of their life, they're dead. Ukitoa radio, gone. Hey. Anyway, we keep moving. So I want to tell you something interesting about this PSA. Hey. Zingine unakaa hivi unajiambia, do we really need this? Do we really need this? That livestock that have been living freely ever after. Huko nyuma zimekaa, our cattle were just the zebus. They eat everything. Unless your zebu cow eats maize, excess of maize to get the bloating. Okay? Yenye tunadunga tu shindano kwa tumbo, it removes the gas and the cow goes back to normal. Now we have to give them vaccines. And then somebody's telling us, you know what? You used to take your cattle in the dips, cattle dips. Now you're complaining about vaccines. But why are you so interested in this? Don't you have a ministry of livestock and all this? Why are you so much interested in pushing this agenda as the main man? Why is it so hurting that people don't want to vaccinate the animals? Why do you get so why mbona hizo feelings? Si ni zetu, ng'ombe ni zetu. You actually said you want to tax every tree of avocado. We said okay, you do what you have to do. Before we even settled on that, now you have a bill that now you have to get a license to do farming, organic farming. Before that, you're vaccinating the animals and you want to push it to us. We've not even forgotten that you used our eyes, lied to us about what was that thing for the eye? WorldCoin. We've not even forgotten about the WorldCoin. Because you've not paid the let me call them the victims. Those guys who lied there at KICC to just go and they take the details of the eye. We've not even used the Huduma number. We are now having to take another digital ID. Serikali, hii syllabus. The syllabus is running so fast. What are we doing? We not finished this. We are on another one. Sometimes when the king is naked, people are thinking he's wearing a brown suit. Somebody come with a lasso and just funika the king bana. Anyway, let's continue. It will treat you abnormally. Hey. And then we actually fell for this guy. And you know, this guy is the best minister that we've ever had. He's the abnormally minister. Hey. That time I was in Mombasa. I couldn't wait for him to open the borders. I just wanted to run. Fungua border. Now, anafungia hata ng'ombe borders. Anyway, let's continue. So this is a protein actually a protein that is specific for the prostate. So if you don't have a prostate, it goes down in the blood. If it goes above 4 nanograms per ml of blood or serum, then we know you are at risk. But you see, I've told you, you don't have to fear just because you have a high PSA. You don't have to have the fear. Because that PSA can actually come in because of several and multiple factors. So don't fear. There is one antigen that is specific for prostate cancer. This one, if you do and you find it's positive, please seek alternative health from an oncologist or from a serious practitioner. It's called the EPCA actually. The early prostate cancer antigen. That one, if you get it in blood, please just know that this one I am at risk. EPCA, early prostate cancer antigen. That one, no. Hapana, hii niko na shida. Now, there's a difference between PSA and EPCA because EPCA, it is present in cancer cells. So if you have cancer of the prostate, of course, this one will produce it. But the other one, the PSA, is present in both. So you can have prostate cancer, you'll have the PSA because it is leaking. PSA is leaking from the prostate into the bloodstream. If you have an enlarged prostate, you can have PSA, high PSA levels. If you have normal prostate, you still have the PSA. So therefore, PSA is not predictable. It is not accurate. It's not a test that you can actually take and tell us, you know what, now I have a problem. No, it is not. So if you're afraid that you might end up having prostate cancer, simply consider the EPCA. If you have a risk of prostate cancer because your family lineage people are suffering from prostate cancer, go for this one. Do not go for the PSA. If you do it for your own sake. But I'm not warning you against it. I'm just telling you, if you do it, don't use it to actually predict your risk of cancer. And then, of course, if you already have cancer now, you can actually do a PSA now to just monitor how you're actually reacting to treatment and therapy. And I've always stood by the fact that genes play about 2 to 10% of roles in health conditions. Prostate cancer being part of it. Do not stand there and tell people, you know what, it is in our genes. No, it is not. It is in the diet that is in your genes. Because people from your genetic lineage are consuming wheat, they are consuming seed oils, inflammatory foods, sugar. And then they blame it on their genes. Daktari Junga was your abduct. Hey bro, hey. Either way, somebody has to say something. You know that, Steve? Somebody has to say something. Whether they like it or not, somebody has to say something. And you can stop one. But right now, we are here. 34,000 on YouTube. We have 250 plus thousand on TikTok. So how can you stop all those people? They have the information already. And that's why it's very nice that if you're on this live, you just share it. Share lives, share our videos. They will change somebody's life. They will actually get the fear out of all of us. Because we know we are fighting a battle which is a spiritual battle, and some of us still have the fear. So join in on Friday to 𝗦𝗣𝗙𝗘𝗖𝗓. We bring down the roof and all that. So for the prostate, we have several genes that can actually play a role in prostate cancer. One is the PCA3, basically prostate cancer gene number 3. We have another one called 𝗣𝗥𝗢𝗦𝗧𝗔𝗧𝗘. We have another one called 𝗪𝗪2. This 𝗪𝗪2 is one of the things that actually it had a lot of controversy, because they were saying a lot of golfers, a lot of people who play golf suffer from enlarged prostate and prostate cancer. I think that study is still on. When it comes out, we'll talk to you about it. And this is not me telling you to stop playing golf. Go ahead and play golf. We also have TMPRSS2. Don't even cram these genes. Watupea tu jina rahisi tujue na tusonge nayo. But hizi majina watupea complicated, watufanya tunaogopa science. We cannot be afraid. Okay? So then, for you to, some of these, like the EPCA, you can actually get it through either blood or through the urine. So sometimes they massage the prostate. When they massage the prostate, they increase the production of this early prostate cancer antigen into the urine, and then you measure it, you simply find iko juu, you start realizing there's a problem here. Also the PSA, but mostly consider using the serum, because it's a serum test. Now, something that caught my attention is, what are the things that actually cause an increased PSA? I've actually told you. I've told you infections are there. I've told you inflamed prostate. I've told you urinary tract infections. I've told you an enlarged prostate. I've told you prostate cancer. All of them can cause problems with PSA, and increased PSA in blood. However, frequent ejaculation. Frequent ejaculation. Now, men, bear with me on this one. Sex fasting is important for you. It doesn't matter if you are married or not. You can have a wife. You don't have to have sex every single night. If you do not ejaculate every time you're having sex. Orgasms and ejaculation are two different things. The orgasm is the feel good. The ejaculation is the release. Immediately a man releases, that is the most useless man, because he becomes a zombie. He doesn't want any conversation. He doesn't want to hear anything, if any case. One day men will be very honest. Ladies, after a man has ejaculated, they don't want you there. They just can't tell you because they're afraid they will upset you. They have evil in them. But the truth is, after an ejaculation, hey, I wish men were honest with this conversation. That if at all a man can ejaculate this woman, after the ejaculation, the woman runs away, this man will live happily ever after. I'm telling you the truth. After ejaculation, the woman must run. Just go. We know we don't want you very far, but we don't want you here. You understand that? So therefore, ejaculation was designed to make a woman pregnant. So aimless ejaculation, masturbation, all these are causing a strain to the prostate. So therefore, somebody who lied to you that you have to ejaculate every time, somebody who lied to you that you have to ejaculate every time is the one who actually set you up. You're not designed to ejaculate every single day or every time you have sex. No. If any case, if you know very well that you are weak, that your refractory period is long, the refractory period is the period when you ejaculate and when you come up again, when you have an erection again. If you know that is long or that one can never come, because I know after ejaculation, the post-nut clarity, most men will realize that this is not the woman I wanted to have sex with. I don't want her here. So she atoke end. But they will not tell you because now they just want to sleep. They don't want to think about you. They just want to sleep. Zombie Pro Max, XYZ. So at that moment in time, if you know that is your weakness, if you have erectile dysfunction, if you have premature ejaculation, why do you ejaculate? Imagine somebody with premature ejaculation and still allows himself to ejaculate. Why would you do that to yourself? Hold back the ejaculation. It's not necessary unless you want to make this woman pregnant. Enjoy the sex, take control, and hold back the ejaculation. Get the orgasm, but retain the ejaculation. Because once you ejaculate, you're wearing off the prostate. You're increasing the PSA. So this nonsense of science says that I have to ejaculate 21 times to prevent myself from getting an enlarged prostate or prostate cancer is a lie. Is a lie. Oh, if I retain the semen, my testicles will burst. We've seen studies, we've seen even people who have died from having sex. I am yet to see somebody who died from not having sex. Hello? Hello? Have you ever heard of a guy who died because he did not have sex or he did not ejaculate? People have died in the act of service, including one of our cabinet secretaries. Back then, if you remember, guy was busy doing his thing and he's taken the Viagra. Now the blood vessels are dilating everywhere. Blood pressure is going down and he still wants to prove a point. Man, if you are one guy who uses the Viagra, please allow the lady to do the rest. You've done your part. You've taken the Viagra. At least now relax. Let the lady do the rest. Stop proving a point. Because the mode of action of Viagra is to dilate blood vessels. That's why it was used, actually it's indicated for pulmonary hypertension. Hypertension. So it dilates blood vessels so that the blood pressure falls. Now if you have normal blood pressures or you've taken drugs for blood pressure, for diabetes, so you're already dilating your blood vessels, your blood pressure is already falling, and then you go ahead and take a drug that dilates these blood vessels even further. Super hypertension, a coma, and death. And then we will celebrate you. Oh, you know what? This gentleman, he died in service. Congratulations. 21 guns, salute, and then bye. Wende uko upewe yo mwili mpya kwa spirits. So you can actually boost your testosterone without necessarily having to take medication. You can actually boost your erections without having to take medication. Simply eat clean, start fasting, go to the gym and lift weights, enjoy the sun, eat high cholesterol diets, and then go on a sex fast. 60 to 90 days of zero sex is very essential. Lose that fat because it's highly estrogenic. And remember, for you to get prostate cancer, DHT is there, estrogen is there, and then insulin resistance is there. For you to get an enlarged prostate, for you to get prostate cancer, you know very well where these are coming from. So if you lower the estrogen, you lower the insulin, you're safe. You're safe. So do you really need to come to hospital to start finasteride treatment? To start hormonal replacement therapy? Do you really need to go to the gym to inject yourself with testosterone shots to grow bigger? You've seen them dying of heart attacks. You've seen them dying from problems with the kidneys. You've seen those bodybuilders having very big pot bellies and then ni kama wamepanga the six-pack juu ya pot belly. You've seen them. Very big pot bellies. They are fat. They are lifting heavy, but they are so obese. So what is the goal then? Chasing a thrill? To just lift heavy and then people celebrate you and then that's it, become Mr. Olympia and then what? And they become very miserable as the, is it 𝗦𝗢𝗙𝗖𝗓𝗓 and the other one? What is the Mr. Olympia one? The one who is struggling now with the back problems and hey. The reason why gyms exist is because you need to mimic activities that you used to do and you still do basically on a daily basis. Nobody takes a djembe to go to the farm to come out with a big chest. Nobody goes to the farm to come out with a big chest. We go to the farm to do what we have to do. Good, let me read some comments here. Somebody has been asking me a question about 𝗦𝗣𝗘𝗖𝗓𝗏 to estrogen. You know, 𝗦𝗦𝗏 is clomiphene. And clomiphene basically activates or improves the secretion of follicle-stimulating hormone. Follicle-stimulating hormone, you know it, if you know the channel. And I think I'll explain this on the board so that you can actually see the bigger picture. But anyway, you see when you're producing the estradiol, that estradiol has to bind to receptors so that you get the man boobs, you get the feminine characters and all that. Clomiphene actually competes with estradiol on binding receptors. When it binds the receptors, it activates production of the follicle-stimulating hormone. That's the mode of action. Somebody's asking, where are you found? I'm found everywhere. One, I have a contact that I've provided here that you can actually use on my bio app here. You can use that contact to book an appointment. Number two, I most times in Nairobi at the end of the month and the beginning of the month. This moment in time where I work, hey, it's very far, my brother, from Nairobi. But anyway, I come to Nairobi every end of the month to do my physical consultations. So you can either book for an online consultation or a physical consultation, use the same contact to book, and we'll have a conversation. Because the multiple times you've asked that question, I think you need help, and that will actually make sure that you and I get to have a conversation. Erico, so yeah, use that contact to actually get to us. And use WhatsApp, do not call. Use WhatsApp. Text on WhatsApp what you need, we will address it, we will text back. So yes, so thank you so much. Guys, has that not been amazing? Huh? Yeah, Mickey has been, Erico, Mickey has been that contact there. Yeah, I was seeing this, finasteride is Prosca and Propecia, yes. And we have the topical one, the one to apply, and we also have the oral one. But I want you to see, these are the drugs that can actually be used to prevent actually hair loss in women also. But I'm not telling women to go and use these drugs to actually bring back the hair. You can bring back hair by just fixing the gut and eating high protein diet which has biotin, specifically the egg yolks. You'll get your hair back. Okay? So finasteride is actually indicated for multiple things. One is the treatment of pattern hair loss. Number two is actually benign prostate hyperplasia or hypertrophy. And number three, excessive hair growth in women. So women who have this excessive hair growth, you've seen those ladies who come on TikTok live with children and then they have the beards and all that. They can actually use finasteride to actually reverse that. But if they just lower their estrogen levels, they lower their testosterone levels, of course, they'll end up having their life back in order. Okay? Yeah. So then, something I wanted to mention here about radiotherapy. When you're going for radiotherapy, let's say you've had an enlarged prostate and then you're told, or prostate cancer which is localized, then you're told to go for radiation. You know, most of the times I talk about the side effects of radiation therapy, hormonal replacement therapy, and chemotherapy. And these side effects are so serious. So guys, some of these cancers, you can actually prevent them. You don't need to wait until you have the cancer to start finding out means to actually reverse this. Like imagine you just eating 1 or 2 meals a day. Doing the basics, just do 1 or 2 meals a day. Prioritize animal proteins, make them fatty proteins, change the cooking oils, drop the weeds, the processed foods and all that. And I know you can't drop them, but do them minimally, maybe once a week or once a month. But just changing the cooking oils, dropping the inflammatory foods, the wheat, the sugar, and the seed oils. And then prioritizing animal proteins, both red and white. Because I know people who have the prostate problems have been warned against red meat. Please, eat red meat. Eat red meat. Red meat is not a problem. The problem is the sugars that we've been eating that cause you high estrogen, that cause you DHT, that cause you high insulin and insulin resistance. So don't be lied to that meat was a problem. Meat has never been a problem. Enjoy red meat and make it fatty. Don't go for the lean meat. Go for the fatty meats. Avoid alcohol. Enjoy exercise. Even a walk is a full body exercise. Just do a long walk in the evening. Fast. A 24-hour fast, maybe 3 times a week, or even if you just go on 1 meal a day, it's necessary for you. Go ahead and just fast. People from the Islam generation, the Muslims, they do a 1-month yearly fast. Do you think they are stupid? They do it because it's necessary. Of course, there's spiritual benefit from it, but they know very well, during that moment in time, most of their health conditions, chronic conditions, they disappear. The problem is, they will fast during the day, but at night, they are eating all the rice. Why? They are consuming all the seed oils. They are consuming all the wheat to compensate. So basically, they simply turn the day into the night. My people from SDA, please stop eating soy. Stop drinking Fanta Orange. My people from the northern region of Kenya, stop thinking that nyiri in seed oils. Use animal fats. Use the tallow or the ghee. Stop using the liantos to cook that nyiri. Use the animal fats. My people from central Kenya, stop. Let the alcohol go. Please, let the alcohol go. And by the way, did you know that anal sex can actually cause increased PSA? Allah! I think it's time for us to call it a night. Did you know that anal sex can increase the prostate-specific antigen? When I was in Coast, there are these surgeons, let me put them in quotes, these surgeons who used to tighten up the anus for these guys who have just been busted up. In this medical field, I've seen things. I've seen people who tighten up the anus. I've seen people who tighten up the vagina. I've seen people who actually claim that they can actually sew back the hymen so that when a lady is married, she's a virgin. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here for the last 1 hour and 25 minutes. It's been amazing. And if you have not considered subscribing on my YouTube channel, go to Health and Wellness Spot and do the do. Okay? We also have a YouTube channel that is called Dr. Lewis. That is the channel that we will meet for live on Friday. And we will advertise it anyway. So on Friday, we are going to do Identity Fridays on Dr. Lewis' channel. We call it Uncle Chile. We are going to do Identity Fixing and Identity Fridays. For those of you who have not watched the previous episodes 1 up to 6 of Identity Fridays and what they entail, you can simply go on my YouTube channel, Health and Wellness Spot, and go at the live area. Just check out the videos that are actually labeled Identity Fridays. Watch one of them and you'll understand where we are in terms of identities. Why do we need to fix identities? Why do we need to actually get rid of these mental health problems that are imaginary? Why do we fix anger? Why do we fix depression? Why do we help people reconnect? Why do we rebuild the man? And through that, we rebuild the family unit. So that is what we do on Fridays. So let's see you on Friday. And throughout the week, we'll be posting videos for you to actually enjoy the health content. We have taken Wednesday for the shootings. We also taken Wednesday to actually dedicate it for research, so that we can actually bring you content that is authentic and deep and well researched. I hope that the content that we share inspires you, builds up your mental clarity, and also gets the fear out of you, so that you can actually face your doctor with the boldness to ask questions. Always ask the why. Always ask the why. Do not leave a consultation room with no satisfaction, with no interpretation of lab results, with no significant interpretation of the drugs, even in case the side effects of those drugs. Do not leave that window, that dispensing window, before you ask the pharmacist or the pharmaceutical technologist, why are you taking these drugs? and what are the possible side effects of those drugs. Above all, keep eating healthy, keep leading a healthy life. It is 2025. It can only get better with time. Stay on the CPD, consistency, patience, and discipline. Those are our core principles and the core values. So thank you so much for being part of us and joining in. You've stayed here for this long, and I can only say thank you and appreciate you. We'll see you again on Friday. See you and have a good night.